Update, I'm Cassie.
I'm Keegan.
I'm Christina. And that's a pause for effect.
I walked away, so I don't know what you guys were talking about when I was off mic. 100%.
Got it. Yeah, no, we were discussing, as I think a lot of people were this week, the Dave Grohl drama. And for me, it's not as interesting that he cheated and is going to have a love child or whatever.
Child in quotes.
What
Gross.
is interesting to me is the reaction to it. And I think we've seen this with the Try Guys. We've seen this with John Mulaney. And so I truly think that what makes us mad about Dave Grohl's love child is that we were tricked.
We feel like we were tricked. I mean, because we develop these parasocial relationships to these people. And that's the thing is like, you have to keep this in mind. And it's funny because we did do Dave Grohl. We have done him before in our Fuck, Marry, Kills, you know? And our Fuck, Marry, Kills, if we're doing people, are often just whatever our perception of them is, whatever our parasocial relationship we have with them is. And our relationship that we have with Dave Grohl is that he is this super nice guy, chill guy, good
Mr.
guy.
Sweet Man. Yeah.
You know, but the truth is we don't know him.
Right.
Like we don't know him. We don't know John Mulaney. And also the truth is that people are complicated, and he can be somebody who like cares about the unhoused community in Los Angeles and volunteers to serve them and is great in that way, and is also maybe kind of a shitty husband, and we didn't know.
Yeah, Courtney Love over here feeling vindicated. But no, I also think it's because so much of our safety relies on us spotting red flags.
Yes. Yes.
You know,
so true.
That it's just like, well, he got one over on us because we put him in the good guy category, and he fucking, so there's
feel
that
lied to.
anger.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, what the fuck did I miss? He's one of the cheaters. He's one of the thing. And what did I miss, you know, for all these years? And so I think that's a big part of the anger. I haven't heard people talk about that. But it makes sense.
I think
too.
also,
go ahead.
think also too, we now know something about him beyond just like this persona. And that is that he's stupid. You're a grown ass adult man and you're not using condoms. You don't have any sort of like, why didn't you get a vasectomy, sir? Like, you're
true. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean,
You don't know how sex
oopsies
works?
happen. Oopsie babies happen. But you're absolutely right. Like, why wouldn't he get a vasectomy? It makes no sense. But I mean, larger than that, I completely agree with you. And I do think that some of this discourse did happen because people were so genuinely angry about John Mulaney. And the truth of it is, like, comedians and musicians being bad at relationships should not be like groundbreaking news.
Right.
Like, you know, like that is stuff that we've seen over and over again.
Yeah.
And so we did have that conversation with John Mulaney because when you create this persona of yourself as like good guy, sweet guy, nice guy, good husband persona, it lulls us into this kind of false sense of security.
We were tricked, bamboozled, hoodwinked,
swindled.
Definitely. And so and then it makes me go back and revisit some of my earlier opinions. I mean, I mentioned Courtney Love earlier, but I mean, truly, that's making me revisit. I'm like, oh, I wonder if people said these things because of misogyny and not you know, because she was one of the first people to fucking call out Harvey Weinstein. She fucking called Dave Grohl a creep from like day one. She was not having it. So, and you know, everybody piled on her. And now it's making me be like, oh wait, I wonder why we did. I mean, I was a teen at the time, but it's interesting to think. It's like
Courtney Love is interesting specifically. She receives so much hate, and I can't say that like everything she's ever done has been incredible or above board. Like, she's definitely fucked up too, you know. But
But she doesn't try to pretend like she hasn't.
That's true. You know, and I think what it really is just that, because I was talking, when we were talking about Dave Grohl, I was talking about how I did see like a behind the music or something about Courtney Love. It was one of those shows on VH1 or MTV as a teenager. And I went into it with a lot of very preconceived notions about Courtney Love. And I remember coming out of it kind of liking her. Like, yes, of course, she's a little out there. She's a little unhinged. Do I think that I would necessarily be friends with her? I don't know. But did I think that she came across as very truly herself, honest, and authentic? And what that means for her is that she's very, very, very outspoken. She's very, very take no bullshit from anyone. And as a society, we don't take kindly to women who behave that way.
Yeah.
It's counter to what is expected for how women behave. And so our response to it is often like, what the fuck's wrong with her?
Yeah.
And then it's like, it's anger, you know, and casting her aside or choosing not to believe her, especially when you have someone on the other side like Dave Grohl, who very much presents as a good, nice guy.
Yeah. And I think, you know, it's interesting to confront these feelings that we have, that we naturally maybe give men the benefit of the doubt
100%.
sometimes. And we think about it, and we've said it before with the FMK. It's like, at any point, you know, this is where we're at with this certain male celebrity
Please don't
at
prove me
this
wrong.
point.
Yeah.
But, you know, like Neil Gaiman.
Yes, girl. We haven't talked about. I've not touched it because I'm like, I don't.
I know. And like, Christina, are you okay?
I'm not. I'm not. It's fucking terrible. It's terrible.
Yeah.
So we're playing, you know, Russian roulette every time we FMK, because it's like any fucking day now.
The other shoe can drop. Yeah. And I feel like we do have to give disclaimers every other episode to say that. That's just like, just because we don't know anything yet doesn't mean that we don't know anything. I mean, and any fandom, I think about, you know, I think about your tattoo. You have a Sandman tattoo.
Yep.
I've thought about all the Harry Potter tattoos I wanted to get and didn't. And I'm at a point in my life now where I'm like, trust no fandom.
Yep.
I can't get, I'm not getting anything on my body.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
because
terrible.
at any point it's like you could learn something and you're like, oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
You know, and, it's the same thing.
I still think about that Timon tattoo from Lion King, you know, like, man, the shoe's going to drop soon.
Any day we're going to hear about
Timon's coming out.
Timon. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but I remember also texting you guys about, Anthony Kiedis, because I was like, oh, that's gross, because he's got like a 19-year-old girlfriend, and people in the comments will still be like, well, she's legal, so it's fine. And I'm like, well, he's like 60 fucking years old, first of all. So there's that. Technically, she's legal, but we're also completely ignoring that this is a pattern of behavior from this man. He likes to date teenage girls and has since he was in his 20s. And that is fucking weird. It's weird behavior. It's gross. And it makes me feel, not that I was like sitting here playing Red Hot Chili Peppers records all day long over here, but it's now when I hear it anywhere, I'm like, ew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gross. Well, I know we also had somebody write in for some advice.
It's happening. It's happening, everyone. We're becoming an advice podcast.
Bring it on.
Our new slogan.
It makes me feel like
not an advice podcast.
Exactly. It makes me feel like Judge Judy or something like that.
Yeah, Ask Abby, or what was that? Dear Abby?
Yeah.
Okay. So we did get an email from a listener. And it says, hi there. I'm wondering if you could give me some advice. I have been with my husband for 15 years and he's an alcoholic and just got out of his third round of treatment. So we are currently separated.
Okay.
I'm currently friends with benefits with a guy and having the best sex of my life, but he doesn't want to commit. And I don't think I should, but I am so used to being in a relationship that it's hard. My question is, should I ask if he's fucking other people for my safety, or should I just assume he's not? Don't ever assume he's not.
Never assume. Yeah.
You make an ass out of you and that man. So that's what
I guess the question is, are you actually asking for your safety, or are you asking for your heart? And either is fine.
Either is fine.
But
right.
no. know that that's, you know what I'm saying? Like protect,
Absolutely.
guard your heart.
Well, and also
Like, as
know,
Christina always says.
we brought this up in the advice we gave last week. Be prepared for whatever the answer is. Like, don't ask the question only wanting one answer and only being prepared for one answer, because the truth
Run
of
that
it
consequences game through.
right. You know, because if it's just a friends with benefits situation, not that he is sleeping with other people, but he very well could be. I do think it's important, at least for me, it would be important to know that, because I would want to be safe.
Yeah.
This is a very, like, there's a lot of layers to this question as well, because she's
Just
separated
got out. Yeah,
from
exactly.
a 15-year
Complicated.
situation.
Yes.
Complicated situation.
And there's a lot too, you know, when you mention alcoholism, there's a reason why, like, there's not just treatment recommendations for the person that is ill,
100%.
but it's also like the family members, because there's a
Highly
lot.
recommend Al-Anon.
Absolutely, Al-Anon is a huge
For families.
suggestion.
Yeah, that they have, because I think a lot of people don't know that, is like there is Alcoholics Anonymous, you know, meetings that we see on TV, and those are the people who go to the groups for themselves. But Betty Ford and Al-Anon both offer family counseling.
Yeah. So coming out of a situation like this, and I mean, we were just talking about rebounds last week too, and what an important service that they can provide if everything's above board. So I definitely think you should ask for 100% to know either way, to guard your heart and guard your body against anything. So condoms definitely.
Well, yes.
But I would also say that, like, I don't know if jumping into something serious would be the best idea right now.
I agree. Yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
It feels like something that can be light and fun and help and build confidence and everything.
Yes.
But I would take it at a snail's pace. You know?
I agree.
Right. But I mean,
agree.
she makes a good point. Like, I do think, and I don't think we talk about it enough, but I mean, I suppose it's part of the kind of like idea of serial monogamy, where if you are used to long-term relationships and you're used to jumping into very serious relationships, adjusting to something like a friends with benefits or a casual thing, it can be more difficult than I think people might realize, because especially if you're like a romantic personality, you want to romanticize something right away. Is she a Pisces? I have questions, you know, like,
yes, when you do write
If you're
in,
an Aries, you're fine.
when you write in, please include all relevant information. And that includes
gotta know, you know, because like there are some people who, whenever we did our double date with Tommy, and we connected on that, because she's a Cancer, I'm a Pisces, and you're like wedding bells right away, you know, like, and like, especially if that has been your pattern, or you've been in a long-term relationship for a long time, or you've gone long-term relationship to long-term relationship, it's not as easy as just switching flipping a switch in your brain.
Right.
So I think that those are conversations, especially if this is a friend, emphasis on friend with benefits, then you should be able to talk to them about this and about your concerns. They should understand what you're going through as well. You're going through, and I want to validate that as well.
Yes.
You are going through a lot. You are going through a lot. Like, if this is your husband, I'm sure you care about him. I'm sure the road has been long and difficult with this, you know, separation and his alcoholism. I'm sure it's very painful, and you're also getting your heart caught up in something else. You're going through a lot. So be honest with the person that you're with.
And with yourself.
And I think, yes, absolutely. And that's where I think too, like, you know, not to harp on the Al-Anon option, but I think that when you are in a relationship with that type of a person for so long, it's hard to see even things clearly for yourself. Like, you're like, am I crazy? Is this something, is this just me? And surrounding yourself with people who can relate to you, can understand some of the things you're going to, can point out things that you're not even aware of. These are the things that will help support you in making strong, confident decisions. Yeah, getting good dick will help make you feel confident in your body.
Yeah.
But also to having support is so important.
Right.
And and Al-Anon's free. You know what I mean? So you can go to any meetings anytime. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, thank you so much for writing in, and I hope things.
Yeah. Good luck with
Things
your
are-
your situation, and feel free to write back and let us know your zodiac sign just for us, just for us
for
to know.
clarity. For clarity. Yeah.
Well, she also gave us an fuck, marry, kill suggestion, and I think that this one is
Awesome.
actually good. After the Dave Grohl news, I actually think we have fuck, marry, killed Dave Grohl, John Mulaney, and Neil Gaiman at different
Yep.
points.
We have.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
During this podcast. So let's take a step away from human men.
Yes.
For a week.
I just
In
don't
general.
like. I just don't like being tricked. I feel like I've got a good
Duped.
picker and a good
Yeah.
read on things, and that's what makes me mad. I'm like, you fucking you tricked me.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So she suggested a fuck, marry, kill of months.
Okay.
Oh.
And you know
okay.
what? Each month does have its own vibe. I think that this is a great one
Yes.
because like each month does have its own vibe. And she chose 1 month in winter, 1 month in fall, and 1 month in summer for
Okay.
us to pick from. So she picked the months December, October, and June. Fuck, marry,
Yeah,
kill.
let's keep them.
All right.
Keep it.
Let's keep
All
them.
right.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay.
I know what
I
I'm
think-
doing. I'm very.
I think I do too.
I love
very
us.
Okay, go
solid.
for it.
Okay, go.
I am going to marry June.
Oh, okay.
I listen. I probably, if I had to identify with which month I am, I would say I'm a December. I would like a June. I would like sunshine. I would like water, like
Yeah.
pools, ocean, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I want adventures. I remember there's a very clear memory I have of being like a teenager, and a balmy summer night is full of possibility, adventure, a little bit of danger. And yeah, I've just always been in love with an early summer night. And so I'm going to have a long-term love affair with June and marry them. And then I'm going to fuck myself. I'm going to fuck December.
Yeah.
Something a little dangerous about winter.
All right.
You know?
Yes, a little dark.
Yeah, a
It
little
gets
dark.
dark early.
Yeah.
It's kind of
Yeah.
cold, so you have to snuggle together.
Yeah.
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 Yep.
Okay.
That's what I'm
Okay.
going to do.
You know,
And then you're going to friend October, right? Or are you going to kill October?
oh, really? Oh,
Okay.
Jesus.
Okay. Okay. Shit. Well, I know what
Okay, you go. You go next.
Okay. I know what I'm going to do. I am going to marry October. And it's because there is something just, and I used to really not like fall. I'm much more spring. And since there are no spring months here, and we all know that I am 100% gray area. This feels like the gray area month. So
Yeah.
you're
You're a
pick
spring
October.
baby.
I am, but I also love spooky shit. And I feel like October has this spooky moodiness about it
Yeah.
that I can dig, that I can be really into. I'm going to fuck
Practical
June.
magic
Yeah.
vibes.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
the practical
absolutely.
magic theme is playing
Hot
in
chocolate,
the background.
yes.
It smells crisp
Apple
out.
cider.
Yeah. You're crunching some leaves.
That's right. I'm going to fuck June because June
Sweaty.
shit, it's sweaty. It's frat boy. It's
June is
it's
the
giving-
fire sign of these three.
which is not can't be true because there are no fire signs in June,
No, but
it is
Fire sign energy.
of these signs or of these months. Yeah, of these months for sure. It's giving bad decisions. It's giving. I love summer, and
do too.
like you said, you talking about like those reminiscence, like the window open in summertime when you were a kid, and that promise of
God.
like summer is fantastic, but it is full of bad decisions. Let's
Yeah.
be honest.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I'm gonna fuck that.
yeah.
And December,
Too much free time
I'm
in the summer.
Sorry, December. I'm gonna kill December. It's got too much going on and cannot pay full attention to me, and that's a problem.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
That's true.
Yeah.
There's a lot happening
it's
in
doing
December.
Christmas.
Yeah.
It's getting
Doing too much.
New Year's. Yeah.
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 Okay, I was actually thinking about this the other day because I was thinking about my favorite season. And it's actually kind of hard for me because I love summer. Like, you know how much I love like a body of water. I want to play mermaids all the time. That is my shit. I love it. But there is also something about fall. There's something really, really nice and cozy about fall. I love that, like, when you first start feeling that kind of crisp breeze in the air.
Yeah.
I love a apple pie, you know, all of those things. And I love spooky shit. I'm a big fan of horror movies. I like, I love all of that stuff. So it's hard for me to pick which season I actually like better.
Right.
And so trying to decide who to marry, it's I'm being torn apart.
I think October would take better care of you than June would.
I think you're right. I think that's the thing is like, October's going to tuck me in all cozy.
Oh yeah.
October's going to come
You're
home
have a
with
nice fireplace.
Yeah. A cashmere sweater for me. Yeah. Like, I think that is the right answer.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to marry October. And we're going to have just like a nice cozy life together. Maybe we're in Vermont, I've never been to Vermont, but just the idea of Vermont.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
And, I am going to fuck June. June and I are going to have a hot and steamy love affair. June and I are not going to be allowed to see each other anymore after I get married to October because it will be too much temptation, you know? Like,
God, I know June. Shit.
So, I'm definitely going to fuck June, and it is going to be a good salty time,
Spicy.
you know? Yeah. And then December, I don't like winter in general as it's my least favorite season. However, I do like Christmas a lot. And I love baking cookies and like having the Christmas season and all that togetherness. Like I do really enjoy all of that stuff. So I am willing to friend December.
Right.
I'm going to friend December.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what? You actually sold me on friending December as well.
December is very cold, very aloof and lonely, but you're right in that Christmas is like, if you dig down below, it's cold, aloof crust. You get to the crux
like
of
a
it.
warm
it's like family.
coziness.
Yeah, there's a warm. But I definitely identify very much with December.
I think it's good. Yeah, I do think that there is like December does have this. Winter in general, to me, like, has this very mysterious quality about it. And I actually had read a book of short stories. They were like horror shorts that were all, or like not horror, but like spooky shorts that were all winter themed, because there is also that like belief that you all get together and you gather around the fire and you tell each other kind of like dark stories, and I do love that about winter. Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much for that FMK suggestion, and also for your email. If anybody has FMK suggestions, or, you need a little advice and you think that we're over here giving decent advice, maybe.
Yeah. Definitely qualified. In quotes.
Well, on my resume is 6 years of this podcast. That is
exactly. Special skills. Survived Tinder. So
there you go. There you go. Marked safe from Tinder. We do have a new patron, so I want to give a big shout out to CC Courtney. Thank you for joining us on Patreon. We are so happy to have you. We actually just recorded our movie for the month, which is for patrons at the $5 level and above receive a movie every month. And the movie that we covered this month was Moonstruck.
If you haven't seen it, boy, do I not want to spoil it for you, but Nicolas Cage.
Wow.
What a gem.
Truly. And I what I will say is that I liked it.
Yeah. Well, you guys want to take 5 and then we'll come back with stories?
Yes.
Sounds good.
And we're back. All right. I have the Tainted Love this week, so I will kick us off with stories. I suggested we go to a restaurant, but he wanted me to meet him at his place and watch a movie.
No.
First date?
No, thank you.
No. I decided to bring a bottle of wine to be a good guest. I pulled up and texted him that I was there so he could come let me in, but he didn't respond for 5 minutes. So I just sat in my car debating whether I should leave. 5 minutes, I could be like, that's pushing it.
Yeah.
You know, he finally texted me back and came outside. I got out of the car, but instead of walking over to introduce himself, he went to his car, pulled out a drone, and started flying it around the yard.
Goodbye. Goodbye. What is
Go.
happening?
I gotta go.
First of all, listen, if we're going on a first date and you're not excited, like waiting for me to and get there and stuff,
why am I wasting my
convinced
time?
me to come to your house. And like,
so you don't even have to go anywhere. Thus far, I have put forth 100% of the effort.
Truly.
yeah.
Trying to salvage this awkward situation, I said, "Cool drone." He then proceeded to fly it into a tree and it got stuck.
Dumbass.
He then asked me if I wanted to go inside. He had just moved in, so there was stuff in and out of boxes literally covering every inch of the floor.
No.
Why would you suggest your
somebody
house?
over? Like, oh my God.
I would never. I'm currently in this situation, and it's getting better progressively day by day, but I would never have anybody over my house right now.
Not someone
Like, it's
new.
insane.
Like, it'd be different if it was like me or Christina, you know, like
Right,
to come like
exactly.
hang out while you're unpacking. But it's like, this is a first date. He suggested, so this is 2 men. The first guy suggested a restaurant. You said, no, come over to my house.
Yeah.
Right? Like prepare. You should be prepared for guests if that's the case.
This tells you everything you need to know about their level of participation in whatever's moving forward.
Everything.
This person just wants
future.
to fuck. That's it. They are not caring about impressing
Right.
you, like putting their best foot forward. They're just like, come to me. So I have to put no effort into it. I don't have to clean the house because I don't really care about this. And we can just smush.
Ugh. Okay. So there was stuff in and out of boxes, literally covering every inch of the floor except a 5-foot ring he had cleared out for us to sit in. Dead center of the ring was a stool with a half-eaten Chipotle burrito on it.
Oh my God.
He asked me if I'd like to finish the burrito.
No,
Sir.
dinner and
You
a
want,
movie.
you want the other half of my burrito?
Dude.
I don't know you. Even if I knew you, that is such weird behavior. It's a burrito.
We're close, and I would never ask. Do
you want the other half of my
burrito?
It's there's something too about like first of all, I don't want to finish anybody's food. I don't share food, and we know you don't.
And a burrito is completely
It's-
different as well. Like that is an intimate experience
Yes.
you're having with that burrito. Your mouth is going directly on
Yeah.
it. It's not like you were eating it with a fork or something.
correct.
You know, like that's
Truly.
like French kissing someone. And I just
Right.
fucking met you. Like.
Yep.
And I'm not impressed by what I've seen. Okay?
Also, Chipotle orders are very
Personal. Very personal.
So,
That's right.
yeah, the chances are that you get the exact same toppings in Chipotle
Yeah.
that I do are slim to none. So no,
Just
Exactly.
who would even ever suggest that? Do you
It's-
want to finish the other half of my burrito? Hey, you think that's being a good host? Well, I offered him some food.
I put
the other
out
half of my
snacks.
burrito.
Okay.
Yeah, I put out snacks on my stool in the center of my room.
I put out snack.
help yourself.
I declined, but asked if he'd like a glass of wine. While he was rummaging around in boxes for a wine opener, he started to ask me some pretty weird questions, and I got pretty uncomfortable. I told him I thought I had one in my car and just drove straight home.
Yes, that's awesome.
Leaving the wine behind.
I'll be right back. I think I have one in my car.
I think I have a wine opener in my car. Be right back. Leaving the wine behind as a consolation prize. Before I had the chance to block him on the app, I got 5 messages demanding I come back and get my shitty bottle of wine. From that point forward, I decided to meet new guys in public settings first.
Yep.
Glad I didn't end up on Dateline.
Wow.
Oh boy.
My God.
The half-eaten Chipotle burrito really did it for me.
Yeah. That's not sharing food. That's personal food. And also, yeah, I just, no first dates at people's houses.
No.
It's too dangerous.
Yeah.
Unsafe.
Yeah.
I'd had quite a few dates, but usually for my worst date story, I go with the one I went on in college. I'd met this Korean girl at the library and we talked, and she seemed lonely but kind of interesting. I went over to her house and we talked and watched a little bit of YouTube together. I invited her on a date to watch fireworks a few days later. Logistically, I planned the date terribly. I didn't have a car at this point, so we ended up walking across half the city to the spot where I wanted to watch the fireworks. Both of us had sore feet.
Oh no.
I also realized we didn't have a ton in common to talk about.
Oh no, so it's just like an awkward long walk. You guys are just trying to make small talk for like 4 miles or something.
No.
Like,
so
no.
what'd you think of that latest movie by at one point, after trying to think of something interesting to ask her, I asked her if it was really true that people eat dog in Korea.
Oh
No.
no!
Why would you
my
do
God.
that?
Do people
I
not
just
realize?
thought it was an entering cultural difference and was curious about it.
Oh my God.
No.
Oh my
What
God,
the fuck?
dude!
What is wrong with you?
No. By the way, immigrants eating any kind of pet or whatever is extremely racist and xenophobic.
Exactly.
So just putting that out there for anybody,
Just
I mean,
don't
it's
do it.
don't.
It's an,
not happening, and it's
it's an absolutely inappropriate question to ask someone ever, but like ever. But on a date, like, why would you think that is something that they would be want to talk about with you at all ever? Like that it's so fucking weird.
It's so cringe.
I could see this
It's
poor
so-
girl in like wedges having to
Oh
walk
my
like fucking
God,
4 miles,
100.
and this fucking asshole says this to you. Oh my God.
She goes off talking to me how rude and insensitive it was.
Yes.
And seemed to imply that I hated Korea and Koreans if I would ask something like that. Yeah, dude, you fucking dumbass. She was genuinely incredibly upset.
Yeah.
And it took her a while for her to convince her enough to change the subject. If I'm her, I'm like, you know what?
I'm gonna call an
Yeah.
Uber.
Bye.
Yeah, because I'm not walking all the way back.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, oh, this is an interesting cultural difference we can talk about and discuss.
And this is part of the problem. Not to get political, but this is part of the issue with like people saying that like, oh, I didn't know. I wasn't being racist. I just didn't know. You not knowing is part of the problem. Like you need to educate yourself on what is appropriate or not appropriate to ask people. It's not an excuse to say like, oh, I just didn't realize that was going to be hurtful or insensitive. Like it is your job to figure out how to relate to people of other cultures.
Exactly.
It's your job.
It's not their job
Also,
to
too-
educate you. Yeah.
No.
Also, too, just because she's from a Korean background doesn't mean that she's from Korea.
Yeah, she's probably like,
You know
I
what
was
I mean?
born in Boulder. Like, what do you mean?
Right.
You know, like,
This is so stupid. Throughout the date, though, I thought I noticed her giving me signs that she was interested in me.
honey.
Physical
this is so college boy coded.
delusional. Close physical contact, looking at me and smiling, etc. I wasn't interested in pursuing anything romantic with her, so I decided to let her know that on our way home. On our way home.
Oh my
This
God.
poor
This
girl.
poor girl.
The long walk home. I told her that I wasn't interested in her romantically and then proceeded to go on this long list of reasons.
Why would you do that?
My God. Oh my God. I want to find this girl and give her a hug. I cannot believe she had to go through this.
This is her worst date.
Yeah.
For sure.
He is
1,000%.
roasting himself over here. In retrospect, she took that about as well as most people would, meaning that she got upset at me for pointing out all our perceived flaws and mismatches.
Yeah.
She also got mad. What the fuck? This poor girl. She also got mad because I apparently misinterpreted any signals she was putting out. And she wasn't actually interested in me at all in that way.
So they're arguing about like, I don't even like you either. It's like walking back. It's like,
oh my God.
We spent the entire 30 minutes or so of the walk home in silence. And then she yelled at me before slamming the door in my face.
oh my God. How awkward is that?
I want
Oh
you to
my God.
know, sir, that she went immediately to all of her friends.
Everyone
Immediately.
just texting away.
Like, this
I definitely could have
motherfucker.
handled things better. But yeah, that was my terrible date story.
Yeah, dude. God, hopefully learned. Oh my God.
I mean,
Wow.
yeah, he was in college. I would hope that was a learning experience for him. But yeah,
Wow.
man, just the culturally insensitive questions, like racist questions, like there's no reason that I understand. Like everyone's been in a situation where you're like, you know, digging for scraps conversation wise and just trying to pull something out like to talk
But
about.
that's what you came up with?
But not that.
Not that, never
Not
that.
Never that.
Never
Don't
that.
do it.
It is giving dumb college kids though, for sure.
Long walk
What a moron.
of just like reasons why he doesn't like her, and she's like, I don't fucking like you either.
Right. I mean, and like, dude, if you feel like you need, I know this thought process of just like, I really need to tell them that like, I don't want to give them the wrong idea. I don't want to give them mixed signals, but like, bro, wait until you're back at your car.
Yeah.
Like if
Clueless.
you really feel like you need to be like, I just, you know, I don't see this working out. If you really feel like you need to have that conversation with this person.
And also, that's a complete sentence. I don't see
Right.
this working out.
What?
You don't need to like
Gonna itemize it.
No, exactly. This isn't a CVS receipt, sir. Like
Truly.
just fucking just the facts, ma'am. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Lord.
Oh my God. Okay. So this person says, I was chatting with this girl for a few days and we decide to meet up at a bar specializing in craft beers. The night's going well. We're hitting it off and end up going back to her place.
Ooh, woo.
When we get there, she asked me if I would mind taking a quick shower since I had used the bathroom at the bar a couple of times.
That'd be me.
Yes, actually, this is Keegan.
Yeah, could you do a quick rinse off?
Yeah, you were in that nasty fucking bar bathroom. So he says, no, I didn't stink. I took a shower before heading out to meet her. I say, sure, no problem. Then she gets really serious and says, you have to promise one thing. Don't break my shower curtain.
Oh no.
I'm thinking,
No.
I've literally taken thousands of showers and this has
do you
never
mean?
been a problem.
What do you mean?
I can handle
no.
this. So I
It's a
tell her,
trick shower curtain.
yeah,
This means you need to pay extra attention to that shower curtain when you go in there. That's what this means. Don't
That's
underestimate
exactly
it.
right.
I know. He's like, I've taken so many shower curtain showers. Like, I can handle this. He's like, yeah, I promise. I won't break your shower curtain. She reiterates, you promise? He says,
This
yeah.
feels like a
I feel
trick.
that's a
I'm going
setup.
home. I'm going home.
Yeah.
I don't trust this.
Yeah, don't worry. I won't touch it. So I get in the shower and the curtain was like one of those pull down blinds.
What?
I guess
Oh,
she was
no.
worried it would roll up since the ceiling was about 10 foot.
Pause. I too have taken many shower curtain showers.
I've never
in my
taken
life.
a pull
Never.
down.
I have never
Never.
in my life seen a pull
this a
down
fancy-
situation.
Fancy sitch.
It
I don't
sounds
know.
the opposite of fancy.
It does. It does. Yeah, it does.
So in the shower, and I'm trying to be careful because there's no bath mat or anything for grip in the tub. I think you can see where this is going. I
no.
soap up, scrub down, and go to rinse off, and it felt like slow motion. My feet slip out from under me, and I go flying backwards through the shower curtain, tearing it down from its mount on the ceiling, and slam my head on her
Shouldn't
sink.
have made promises you couldn't
Holy
keep.
shit.
I'm laying there naked.
Do you have to go to the hospital?
I know,
Got a
seriously.
concussion?
He's like, just take a nap.
That's the last thing
no,
you should,
don't
for the
do that.
record.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Little
This is not an advice podcast.
But no concussion naps. We can, yeah. I'm laying there naked and dazed, trying to figure out what just happened, and she comes running in screaming.
She heard it.
What the fuck did you do? My shower curtain, you broke it. She throws a towel at me and tells me to get dressed. While I'm getting dressed, I'm checking to see if anything's actually broke, and it looks like it just came out of the mount. I get out of the bathroom, and she's trying to push me out right away. I talk her into at least letting me fix the curtain. I get it remounted and say, so there's no hope of salvaging this, is there? Nope.
She
not
gave you
a chance.
one condition.
One condition.
She gave you
That
one
was it.
condition. She was very upfront about it.
Don't break the shower curtain.
Don't fuck up the shower curtain. You know,
Wow.
like, and
I have a lot of questions
do it.
about the shower curtain.
I do too. I like if it's that big of a problem, she needs to get a new shower curtain. Like
Right.
this is on her at some point where it's like
or at least some non-slippage stuff at the bottom of the towel, but you don't have like a bath mat or anything to like stabilize. And if someone's had a few drinks or whatever and they're trying to soap themselves up and be, I mean, 1000% that would happen to me. Someone would tell me not to do it.
I've pulled down someone's shower curtain before on accident, like shower, you know, because it's just like mine. I've pulled mine down before because it has that bar that has the grippy things on each end.
Yep.
And if you put too much weight on it or whatever, you pull too
right
hard,
down.
it'll come right down. I've done that at someone else's house. It is like embarrassing, you know, but also like it happens.
Right.
And you should be able to fix it. And if you can't fix it, like you shouldn't be having people, like I said, I'm with you. If he took a shit in a nasty bar bathroom, I'd be doing the same thing before.
Yeah, especially if you wanted to like have sexy time.
Yeah.
It's like,
Go
ahead and soap it up there.
Right. But if you know
Let's get fresh.
that like this is an issue with your shower, then you got to figure something else out.
Man.
Like, you know, I don't know. This is on you kind of.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Well, you guys want to take a few minutes and come back with the Tainted Love?
Yes.
Sounds good.
Cue.
And we're back. Keegan.
Okay.
Tell us.
This week I had just like an insane week. Like work was crazy. And then there was a lot of stuff going on with my nonprofit. And I put off watching our Tainted Love movie and doing my Tainted Love story until yesterday.
Wow.
So I had to do
that was a busy Friday.
all of it. And on top of that, I had chosen a different story, got halfway through writing it, and then was like, no, I don't want to do this. And then I had to start over. And then I got paranoid halfway through writing this story and was like, have we done this before? I always check before I start writing.
Yeah.
But I was like, I need to check every name involved in this story and make sure we have not done it before. And it's not on our, listen, if we've done it before, you're going to hear it again because it wasn't on our spreadsheet that we keep.
This is amazing.
You get what you get and you don't throw a fit. Okay.
Don't make me turn this car around.
We're going to pretend like this is the first time we've ever heard it. If so,
I really don't think we've done it before, but all right. I'm going to tell the story of Malcolm Webster today.
Doesn't sound familiar.
Okay, good. Malcolm Webster was born on April 18th, 1959 in Guildford, Surrey in the UK. So he had two siblings growing up, including a twin sister, and both of his parents worked as police officers. His mom only worked as an officer for a little while, and then she became a nurse. But his father was actually like high up in the Metropolitan Police Force in the UK or in London.
Surrey?
I don't know.
Wherever
Surrey.
it is.
Yeah.
Yes. And he was known to be a very strict disciplinarian at home. In fact, both of his parents have been described by those who knew the family as cold, distant, and withholding of affection.
Wow. That's
it sounds like a
recipe
gem.
for...
Right. So as an example, meal times in the Webster household were completely silent affairs,
Oh my gosh.
with the children only being allowed to speak when spoken to directly by their father. Otherwise, they were not permitted to speak. The father also, and this is a completely, random tidbit that has no relevance on this case. And I should say one of my sources, I first heard about this story, Danielle Kirsty, who's a YouTuber, she covered this case. And so I learned this fascinating tidbit from her. But the father had a habit of anytime he needed to use the restroom, the entire family had to leave the home.
What?
Had to leave the home anytime he had to use the bathroom.
So, like, even in the middle of the night, if he had to take a piss or something?
And I don't know if it's just
Number one
two
or number two.
I don't know, but it was regardless of time of day or weather.
I mean, I'll tell you, there are times when I want to leave my home when Eric uses the bathroom. It's a very small cottage.
It's fair.
Pouring down rain. They're like, you're going to have to stay
You're going to have to wait outside. Yeah.
Actually, to be honest, that's actually me. I can't throw Eric
I was
under
projecting.
the bus.
I was projecting. So life for him at home was not great, and life for him at school was really not much better. He was described as a bit of a loner, but would also do things. I think we all knew kids like this in school. So he was kind of a loner. Other kids thought he was weird, but part of why people thought he was weird is because he would do things for attention, like obviously for attention.
Yeah.
So he had a habit of pretending to be sick a lot. And look, we've all pretended to be sick to get out of things that we didn't want to do.
Yeah.
But he would go so far as like if the teacher called on him in class to answer a question and he didn't know the answer, he would pretend to faint. Like stuff like that. He also...
This is a kid that it was really just crying out for affection.
Absolutely. And again, you know, anytime I preface a story with someone's background, it is not an excuse. It's not to excuse any of their behavior. It's just to offer some context. So he would do things like that. And then he would also, he earned the nickname Pyro because he would set things on fire.
Well...
That's not a good nickname.
It is not, although very Aries of him. He's an Aries. So that's very
a
Aries
very end of
behavior.
Aries. Yeah. Last day Aries.
18th, Aries 18th. Yeah. So when he was 15, he dropped out of school and he kind of floated around for a while before deciding to start a career in nursing. So he gets a job at a senior care facility and he's not there for very long before things start going missing. So money's going missing, trinkets, and a diamond ring goes missing. And it soon becomes clear that Malcolm is stealing these items. And this apparently is not new behavior. So while he was a child, he often would steal things, but because his dad was so high up in the police force, he would just call
the rug.
Call daddy. And by the way, he called him daddy. Would call daddy to come take care of.
We hate that.
I hate that. Can you imagine? To come take care of whatever situation. So he never really got in trouble for all of the stealing that he would do as a young child.
Consequences are so important.
So he also had a shopping addiction, spending the money that he got from stolen items almost as soon as he got it on things he did not need, like vinyl records, antique clocks, and golf clubs.
Now, this shows a couple of things. Number one, he's looking to fill a large hole in his heart. And number two, the inability to think through long-term consequences of his
100%.
actions.
Yeah. 100%. He spent money as soon as he got it too. So he was pretty, like you said, like no long-term consequences.
Right.
So he was pretty much broke all the time, broke or in debt or both. When it came to women, Malcolm was a master manipulator. He was described, and it's hard to believe given everything we've just learned, but he was described as being pretty charming. And he was able to kind of like zero in on the vulnerabilities that women had. So that kind of malingering habit that he had, he would do that. He would pretend to be sick to gain sympathy. You know, we've seen it before. We've gotten stories where people, play on their wife being dead, whatever it is, to try and gain sympathy. And it worked, it worked for the most part. He was able to play a lot of women that way. Malcolm spent much of his 20s traveling as a nurse, spending time in New Zealand, and eventually settling for a time in Abu Dhabi, where he worked at a children's hospital.
Why do I feel like this is the worst person in the world to be a nurse?
That's exactly... Well, this person, I can't help but think, deliberately went into nursing because you are able to have power. Because, look at the positions he's taking. He's working with old people and he's working with kids. Very vulnerable groups. So he's working at a children's hospital in Abu Dhabi. And during his time at the hospital, 3 children under the age of 6 all pass away from cardiac arrest.
Yeah, that's unusual.
Which is not the likelihood of that happening even once is pretty low. For it to happen 3 times in a pretty short period of time is very, very unusual. So they did immediately open an investigation, and they found that Malcolm was the nurse to all 3 children. He was fired right away, but police struggled to make a case against him, and they tried to hold him, but his dad was able to call the consulate and pull some strings to get him home. So he left Abu Dhabi and went back to the UK. without being charged. When Malcolm arrives back in the UK, he's now in his 30s. In 1991, Malcolm meets a 29-year-old woman named Claire Morris. Claire is a nursing student. She's from a really good family, and she falls for Malcolm right away. He, love bombed her, swept her off of her feet, and the two married the following year in 1992. And you can watch like footage from their wedding, and he seems like such a normal guy. He's making jokes during his toast. Like, he just seems happy and normal, and she seems very happy. After the wedding, the two moved to Aberdeen, Scotland, and Malcolm had told Claire that was the only place that he could find work, but others suspected that he intentionally moved her away from her friends and family to a kind of like isolated, remote location. And she went along with it because she loved Scotland. I think they got married in Scotland, and she was happy to do it. Malcolm had managed to conceal his shopping addiction from Claire prior to their marriage, but once they were married, he couldn't hide his spending anymore. So the couple fought constantly over his spending, and he would do things like when they would fight, he would do things like go out and buy her, spend the money on really expensive gifts for her. Then he would give them to her. And when she was like, we can't be spending money like this, he would then throw it in her face like, you're ungrateful. I'm just trying to do something nice for you. Ugh. And it would make her feel guilty and crazy. Like, maybe I'm wrong. Like, maybe he's just trying to show he loves me, whatever. Like, very manipulative, gaslighty behavior.
Oh, I hate that. You know what makes me feel good? A good credit score. Right. So how about that's the gift you give me?
Yes. So not long after the arguments about his spending started, Claire began suffering from extreme fatigue. So she had zero energy, and she was often confused and would sleep for days at a time.
Oof.
So, of course, she was concerned about this, and she turned to her husband. Like, she's in nursing school, but he is a nurse and has been a nurse for years. So she turns to him for guidance, and she told him that she's like, I really feel like I need to go to the doctor. Like, this doesn't feel normal. Like, it's been going on for a while. And he convinced her that it was a virus and it would likely just pass with time. Like, she just needed to rest. Obviously, this was not true, and it would turn out that Malcolm was drugging Claire's tea with a mixture of diazepam and temazepam, which are both very strong sedatives. So while Claire was largely incapacitated, Malcolm continued to spend, and the couple's debt continued to mount. What a
nightmare. I'm so stressed out right now.
And she couldn't do anything about it because it's just like she was, sleeping most of the time.
Yeah.
In her lucid moments, Claire would try to convince Malcolm to take her to the doctor, and he would then, he'd calm her down with a cup of tea. You just need, like, drink your tea, calm down, it's okay. And of course, she would fall asleep, rinse, repeat, over and over.
Wow.
Of course, this couldn't go on forever, right? She felt as though her life was being ruined by this. She wasn't able, she's like, something is really wrong with me. I have a serious illness. I really need to go get help. I need to go to the doctor and get some blood tests done. And knowing that he could not allow her to go get blood work done, and that his debt was rising to an out of control level, he thought of a solution that in his mind resolved both of his problems. So Malcolm had a dozen, literally 12 life insurance policies.
Oh my goodness.
12 life. How is that allowed?
Also, like, as somebody that has just started looking into it, it's very complicated. I don't know if he, I don't understand how people that don't really contribute, make it through some complicated shit like this. I'm like, how boring and terrible and tedious this shit is.
Yeah, put half of this effort into something else, anything else.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So on the night of May 27th, 1994, Malcolm gives Claire her usual sedative-laced tea, bundles her up, and loads her into their car along with a can of gas. He then drives along some remote, windy roads and deliberately fails to turn the wheel at a bend. So he just flies off the side of the road and crashes the car into a nearby tree. He then climbs out of the totaled car, and this was still a pretty well-trafficked road, so people saw him fly off the road, and they came over to check on him, and they were like, "Hey, are you okay?" He's like, "I'm okay." And they're like, "Is anybody else in the car?" And he's like, "No, no one, no, all good here. No worries. Don't worry about it." And so once he was alone, he took the gas can from the car, poured the gas over the car, and lit it on fire.
I know why you thought you did this story. It's because of the other one where the guy was on the cliff.
And then
whatever.
Also you'll see later there, we've done another, it's like a combination of like of several different Tainted Love stories we've done in the past. And like, so, but tragically, Claire was not dead at the time that they wrecked into the tree. She was dazed. She couldn't get herself out of the car because she was drugged. But she was alive when the car was set on fire. So police were suspicious immediately. They took him into custody. Passersby had testified that Malcolm had explicitly stated that no one else was in the car, and that he made no attempt to put out the flames. And also there were no skid marks on the road to indicate that he had tried to prevent going off the road. And there was just a bunch of things. Like the accident wasn't bad enough for the car to catch fire. There was that. They found the gas can at the scene.
I think people think that cars like explode.
It's like movies.
Yes.
Yeah, like in the movies.
Yes.
And they so rarely do.
Very rare.
Unless it's a Cybertruck.
Right. And also they didn't, the other thing they didn't understand was the accident wasn't bad enough. Like it wrecked the car, but it wasn't bad enough that Claire shouldn't have been able to get herself out of the car.
Right.
So they were like, why didn't she make an attempt to get out of the car? You were able to get out of the car. Why wasn't she? You know?
Right.
So a handful of things. I'm not sure of everything that happened here, but again, what I do know is that Malcolm's father got involved. He was able to pull some strings, cash in some favors, and was able to get Malcolm out of custody. And they closed the case soon afterwards.
Stop it. Are you kidding?
What
we need to
This
know
man.
that man's name because he is also a monster.
Yes.
He is also a monster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what does he do with the police force that he has that kind of pull?
Yeah.
You know?
That's oof.
So he showed up at Claire's funeral wearing a neck brace. So he comes to the funeral like he's also been hurt in this accident. And he soon collected the £200,000 life insurance payout. With the money, he bought a yacht. Very practical.
That's okay.
Mm-hmm. This is a person with a compulsive spending problem.
Upkeep on a fucking
boat.
Yeah.
Fucking for real. Like weeks.
You got fucking fees for the dock or whatever. Docking fees.
You think you want a boat and then you're like,
got...
Jesus. It's like an aquarium. You're like, I think I want one. And then you get it and you're like, the upkeep on this is enormous.
The hot tub is a little bit like
pushing
that.
Pushing
it. And I'm like, man, this thing needs a lot of stuff all of the time.
I'm going to have to hire a pool person.
Yeah.
And take care of that shit for you.
Yeah. But you still love it though, right?
Fuck yeah,
I would spend
dude.
half
Worth
my
it.
life in it.
True. So weeks after her death, not very long after, Malcolm was out on the dating scene again. He was taking women for trips on his yacht and in his brand new Range Rover. He would also play up the grieving widower to his dates in order to gain sympathy, even taking them to several of them he took to Claire's grave.
No.
Gross. I hate that.
Dude, remember that story I told a few episodes back or whatever where he's like, he brought his wife's death certificate?
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'd be like...
and you could Google it. I didn't murder her or whatever. And you're like, a check, please.
Like,
home.
Okay.
Within a couple of years, Malcolm, of course, had blown through all the money from the insurance payout, and he decides that it is time for a new payday. So in May of 1996, at the age of 37, he meets a woman named Felicity Drum. Felicity was originally from New Zealand and was an incredibly independent person. She was very financially stable and had made a really great life for herself. It is assumed that Malcolm zeroed in on Felicity as soon as he met her and learned that she was pretty wealthy. So he charmed her, swept her off her feet, and as far as Felicity was concerned, it was a whirlwind romance. I don't think she'd ever been married. She was a little bit older.
Yeah.
And I think she was like, this is what I've been waiting for. This is the, big love of my life.
There's also a little bit as somebody that, pretty much has their shit together and likes things done a certain way. And like, I don't know, if you're a woman and you've done it on your own and everything like that, I feel like sometimes there's an underlying thing of like, someone else to help.
Yes.
Because it's that little bit of a break. There are times where I feel like very like a fist, like tight. I have to hold all of this together.
Yeah.
And it's just like that breath that you get when you have a partner that you can trust that can take on some of that load is so nice.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Within months, the two were engaged and were married less than a year after meeting. On the first night of, it's fast. And on the first night of their honeymoon, Malcolm begins to drug Felicity on the first night of their honeymoon. So there's a lot of speculation as to whether or not he ever intended to kill Claire when he married her. There's very little doubt that he was like, I gotten away with it once with Claire, and with Felicity, that was the plan from the get-go. So on the first night of their honeymoon, she slept for 36 hours straight.
Oh my God.
He repeats the exact same pattern with Felicity that he did with Claire, drugging her daily. And when she complains to him of her symptoms, telling her that it's likely a virus, and then drugging her again with a cup of tea.
I gotta ask, and this is not to put, but I think I would be like a little bit suspicious.
Me too.
You know what I mean? If like I've been fine.
But we've also been
buried in Dateline for
that's also
raised
true.
by Keith
like,
Morrison.
All of a sudden, like I'm sleeping like all the time like this. I would be
right after
skeeved.
we got married. Right after,
yeah.
Not long into their marriage, Felicity discovers that she is pregnant. And when she tells Malcolm, she expects him to be excited, but instead he is furious. So all this time he was trying to think of the ideal way to kill Felicity, but now he has to wait a pesky 9 months until their child is born before he can take her out. Because I guess there's a line somewhere.
There's a line.
And the line is he wants to, this feels very narcissistic,
his progeny.
right? Yeah, like, right. Mm-hmm. Still, he continued to drug Felicity periodically throughout her pregnancy.
Oh my God.
Albeit to a lesser degree. And, okay, hold on. I'll talk about that later. So Felicity does give birth to a healthy baby boy. And after the birth, she tells Malcolm that she wants to move back to New Zealand to be closer to her family. So he's not super enthusiastic about this, but he does eventually agree. And as the couple prepares to move, a couple of strange things begin to happen. One, their house catches fire, damaging a lot of their belongings. Malcolm claims the insurance money. Then the storage unit that held many of their belongings that were packed for the move also catches fire.
Okay. You're just the unluckiest person on the planet.
Yeah.
So
Firebug.
He claimed the insurance on the storage facility as well. And to make things worse, it wasn't just Malcolm and Felicity's things that were in the facility. It was like a warehouse. So there were other people's belongings there that were burned up as well. And an innocent employee was blamed for the fire.
Oh, no.
Mm-hmm. The couple does end up moving to New Zealand, and they move in with Felicity's parents. And while they're getting settled, not long after moving, they find their dream home. They're looking for homes. They find one. Felicity is like, this is our dream home. And she's so excited. They intend to get this house. But then guess what happens? A fire breaks out.
Oh, I was just going to joke. It burned down. And yes, it did.
A fire breaks out in the home, and it was later discovered that, of course, Malcolm set the fire to avoid moving forward with the sale because he didn't have the finances to purchase the home. So thus far, he's been able to kind of conceal his, poor financial situation, but he knew if they were going to start going through the process of purchasing a home.
Your
that it would come
credit
out.
score is 204. What?
Is that even possible?
A fire then breaks out at Felicity's parents' home.
Okay.
And it's speculated that this fire was set to kill Felicity. Like, this was the plan that he had made to kill her. But her father woke up in time and was able to put the fire out before it spread. So you might be wondering, how was no one picking up on this? It's a lot of fires.
Yeah.
You know, I'd be like, this is a little suspicious.
Yeah.
I've never had this many fires.
This. Yeah, exactly.
You know. Well, someone did. Felicity's dad, he didn't think that Malcolm was a murderer, but he was like, something's off with this guy. He's a shady character. And was suspicious that he kept finding ways to delay them purchasing a home. So he's like, I got my eye on you. Something fucking weird's going on here. Realizing he couldn't put things off forever, he kicked the murder attempts up to an 11. The first major one occurred when he was driving on a motorway and he pretended to lose control of the car. Something weird is happening with the steering wheel. I don't know. And so he's swerving all over the road, and she leans over, grabs the steering wheel, and is able to get them over to the side of the road. And she's like playing with the steering wheel, and she's like, nothing's fucking wrong with this. And so then he turns to his old habit of malingering and grabs his chest and is like, oh, I'm having a heart attack. I'm like, something's happening.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so they drive to the hospital where, of course, they're like, you're fucking fine, bro.
Yeah.
Nothing's wrong with you.
No.
He then told Felicity, who was still being drugged consistently, mind you, that he wanted to have a picnic in the woods with their son.
No.
And
we're good.
You know, she's not like, he had just given her like a big dose of these sedatives. She's not really like all there. She's like, sure, whatever. So on the way, he pulls over and says he wants to take their son on a little walk. And she's super sleepy at this point. And she's like, yeah, sure, whatever. I'm just going to, close my eyes here in the car for a little bit. What she doesn't know is that he has a full gas can in the trunk of the car, and that he is planning on getting their son as far away as possible and then setting the car on fire. But before he's able to do that, and this feels like a movie, hero of the day, Felicity's dad, calls her cell phone. And her phone, the phone ringing, like, she's like sleepy, she's falling asleep, but the phone ringing jerks her awake. And she picks up the phone, and her dad is frantic. He has just put the pieces together, and he believes that Malcolm is intending to kill Felicity for her insurance money.
Oh,
so
I miss my dad.
I know. Dads. So he's insistent that she get away from him with her son as soon as she can. Like, don't listen to anything he says. Just come straight home. So she hangs up. She yells to Malcolm that there's been an emergency at home and that they need to leave right now. They need to leave right away. So as it turns out, while Malcolm and Felicity were out of the house, her dad did some snooping. He's like, listen, something's wrong. So he found bank statements that proved that Malcolm was transferring hundreds of thousands of dollars from Felicity's account to his own account.
Oh.
He also found, again, dozens of life insurance policies that he had taken out on Felicity, as well as 2 plane tickets, one for Malcolm and one for their son, to go back to the UK. No plane tickets for Felicity. As soon as they get back from the picnic, her dad confronts Malcolm immediately, and he turns tail and runs. But before he does, he tells Felicity, quote, I gave you a good life and a son. You would have died happy.
Whoa.
Wow. Okay.
Wow. Felicity and her dad, they go and they report Malcolm, but before they could gather enough evidence to charge him, he, GTFOs back to Scotland. They had 2 options at this point. They could move to extradite Malcolm back to New Zealand to stand trial, or they could block his passport so that he could never again travel to New Zealand. And the fear was that if they extradited him and he was found not guilty, he would have access not only to her, but also would have access and potentially could legally seek custody.
That's such a hard decision, though, because I guarantee you that they wanted to prevent him from maybe doing this to somebody else, but at the same time, it's like you're also gamble. A mother,
right?
And it is a gamble. Exactly. It's like, well, at least I'll know that we're safe here. He can't get to us. Oh, that's hard.
And it's for that reason that they did choose the second option. They chose to block his passport, and then they chose to stay in New Zealand, so that there was no way that he could reach her or her son. But in an attempt to prevent Malcolm from doing this to another woman, Felicity did refuse to divorce him. She's like, I will stay married to him so that he can't try and marry another person and try and get their insurance money.
Wow.
Unfortunately, this did not stop him from trying again. So upon his return to Scotland, he gets another job as a nurse. I feel like you got to flag him at some point.
It's like a Google search or something.
Yeah. There he meets 41-year-old fellow nurse Simone Bangery. And Simone was pretty well off financially as well. And as soon as Malcolm learned this, he did everything he could to win her over. He told Simone that he had cancer and even went so far as to shave his head and his eyebrows. And this emotional manipulation eventually worked on Simone. And when he proposed to her, he's still married. When he proposed to her with a $6,000 engagement ring with money he stole from Felicity, that's where that money came from, she said yes. So once they were engaged, he managed to convince Simone to change her will and make him the primary beneficiary, leaving all £300,000 in assets to him. What Malcolm didn't realize was that Felicity never let up. She called the police in Scotland constantly, begging them to keep an eye on Malcolm. And
good for her.
Felicity and her dad, heroes. And they did. And when they saw what he was doing with Simone, they were convinced that she was going to be his next victim. Still, they didn't have any evidence to charge him with anything, and they needed to take some time to build a case. However, when they learned that he was about to take Simone on a boat trip, they knew they needed to act immediately. Yeah. So they couldn't arrest him. But what they did was they showed up at the boatyard right before they were set to leave, and they basically made their presence super known. They're like, we are watching you. Like, we know what you're doing. And they were just trying to intimidate him. And it did work, though they would later find that Malcolm had tampered with Simone's life vest and was most likely planning on staging a drowning when, but she did return from the trip unharmed.
Is it legal for the police to basically like go and talk to Simone and be like, hey, these are all the things that someone else is, and this is this person's past. Is that legal for them to do?
I don't know, because they do eventually do that, but it was framed in such a way that like they needed to have so much evidence before they could even talk to her, because the next step is they don't have enough evidence. They still don't have enough evidence to charge him, but they feel like they have enough to go to Simone. So that is what they do next.
Okay.
They go to her, they tell her what's going on, they present her with all of this information, and she doesn't want to believe it at first, but eventually she's putting the pieces together of like everything that's happened.
I will tell you, if the police who are notoriously known for dragging their feet about something, but if they feel confident enough to go
emergency,
and say like, oh, did you know that your husband A, B, and C, that kind of thing, I would believe it. I really would. I would be, oh God, that'd be awful.
So she goes and confronts Malcolm, and he again just runs away without answering any of her questions, just flees. While police still feel like they don't have enough to charge him with anything in Simone's case, they do decide to reopen the investigation into the death of his first wife, Claire.
Good.
So 14 years after her death, Malcolm was charged with the murder of Claire, and he was also charged with the attempted murder of Felicity, as well as attempting to bigamously marry Simone. I didn't know attempted bigamy.
It carries a big sentence.
But there you go. Yeah. The investigation took over 5 years, and the trial was the longest in Scottish history at that point.
Wow.
But he was found guilty with a sentence of life in prison with a minimum of 30 years.
Nice.
Oh,
wow.
So Felicity is still around. She's still talking about the case, and she said, like, he would drug her, and she was like, I think sometimes he was drugging me for no reason other than the control that he felt like he got out of it, because he was drugging her a little bit throughout their pregnancy, like at times when it didn't even make sense. Like he knew he wasn't going to kill her. Like
what's the point?
Right. But there was also which I would love to find. It's called The Widower. There was like a BBC or something. Maybe it wasn't BBC, but some British TV show that was created based on his story. So
wow, I would like to see an investigation into his father.
That is, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I would really like to see that.
If he's pulling strings like this, he's definitely done other corrupt shit.
That's right.
100%.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
100%. Wow.
Wow.
Oh.
I think his dad did
Wild
die
story.
though. Sorry. Yeah, I do think he died before Malcolm could go to trial. So
the dad.
Yeah, the dad did. Yeah.
Well, that's why he actually got to go to trial.
Yes.
Probably.
Probably.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, that was a good one. That one part with the car thing, I was like, oh, okay, that's why you.
And then we've done Black Widowers before,
right?
So the combination of those things, I was like, have we done this?
And in
fucking
Scotland,
story?
I've done one. Not that long ago in Scotland. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I mean, trust your gut instinct. I guess what I'm learning from that story, I guess, is that like, trust no bitch, but also
True.
if you're like mysteriously sick all of a sudden right after and you've signed a bunch of paperwork for a bunch of insurance policies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ask more questions.
I'm suspicious at insurance policies.
Yes.
Immediately, I'm like,
right.
Well, I am putting it out there that we are talking about and looking into it together, just in case something happens.
Listen,
and we can pay off our mortgage.
I trust Eric.
So
I do, but
I brought it up too.
Oh,
so
I haven't heard from Eric for a while.
I actually haven't either. I haven't seen him in months.
No, he just texted Chris the other day.
Oh,
so
okay,
we're
fine.
good. We're good.
Well, but a text. I need proof of life.
this is true.
Is he holding up a newspaper?
oh
No, this is true. Could have been Christina. Yeah, it's like,
right.
I'll text
Christina's
Chris.
smart. Christina's seen a lot of Dateline. She
That's
knows how
right.
to text in Eric's voice.
That's
Okay,
right.
she's not going to make those rookie mistakes.
yeah, you're not gonna make wits me. You know.
Yeah, but we do need to get our Dateline folders together.
Yes.
That's just a general
Yes.
note for all of us.
Yeah, Eric and I have talked about this at length because I mean we watch a decent amount of true crime, and I'm always like, wow, this person did not have close friends in their life because how dare they
Yeah.
put that
Disrespectful.
picture? Yeah.
Disrespectful.
Well, what are you guys
wow.
watching this week?
What him? Go ahead, Keegan.
I did start. This was your recommendation, I think, last week, and actually fits well with the story I just told. But I did start watching Worst Ex Ever, or whatever that show is. Is that what you've been watching too?
Say.
Yes.
How
Once again,
Isn't it?
so
Oh my God. Like,
bonkers.
dude, this stuff, I have been doing a Worst Date podcast for 6 years, and this show might be the thing that's just like, you know what? I'm good.
It's the worst.
I tell you.
How terrifying. I watched the first
chick
one.
spent like a year in jail.
I cannot.
Which one?
The second one, right?
Episode.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. I didn't finish that one because it was starting to give me such intense anxiety where I was like, I can't. This is so scary.
Right.
So genuinely terrifying.
That's the one that scared Eric the most too. It really like stuck with him.
The first one is horrible.
They're all horrible.
The first one is so wild.
Oh man. Yeah. And I haven't seen beyond those two, but they really, I'll tell you this much. They really
just
don't,
finished the
they
third.
don't make you, your belief in law enforcement might be a little shaken.
Yeah. It's rough.
Lord.
Oof.
Well, on the third episode, they may get you
redeemed.
a little bit back,
Great.
a little bit.
Great.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, watching the second episode with Chris, he was like, "What is wrong with this police department?"
I don't know. In the first episode too, like because there are 3 women who are featured in the first episode, and the third woman did get like the full force of the law, but the first 2. Like they arrested her. Like the first 2, I was just like, what is happening with the Las Vegas police department?
Right. Yeah. Oh, terrifying.
Yeah. Insane.
I'm still on that Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Just light, keep it light, but did have a fantastic Tuesday night watching
the debate.
Watching the debate. Just what a scrumptious, delightful experience that was.
I told you guys, but I had said, I was like, keep, text, whatever.
Oh, we
and
sure
you guys
did.
Texted in our group chat, and I woke up the next morning, and it was my first introduction to what happened. And I was just scrolling through all the text thread, like, oh, this is, I love it.
Yeah.
I can only imagine what that experience must have been like for you, like out there in Germany, to read us talking about, like illegal transgender aliens in prison,
eating cats, dogs, how big his crowd size is. I mean, it's so pathetic.
She spun him out on that.
Yeah.
She was like, crowd sizes, and he was like, what?
I know, it was like she pushed a magic button. He was keeping it together for all of 5 minutes until she mentioned the size of his rallies. And
oh my god,
yeah,
the same old bullshit. I'm glad it was out there, and like over 60 million people got to see what a fucking joke.
Oh, and hey, Taylor.
Yeah, hey.
We got that Taylor endorsement.
Mm-hmm. Here we go.
Oh my god, we didn't talk about Elon Musk's tweet to her.
Oh my god, sick.
I'm calling him what his what Trump calls him is Leon Musk from now on.
You know what? Listen,
Leon.
Not that I ever in my life want to give Trump any credit for anything, but the casual dismissiveness of just getting someone's name wrong a little bit is
Leon
so
Musk.
fucking funny.
Amazing.
It really is. Because it's just so dismissive.
It really is. Yeah.
The funny thing is it would be funnier if he was doing it on purpose.
Yeah.
But that he's like, Elon.
I don't know. Calling Ron DeSantis Meatball Ron is
still the best nickname of all time. I give credit where credit is due. It's fucking amazing.
Because it's so childish.
It's so stupid. It's
12-year-old
stupid.
boy.
I cannot believe that this is the timeline that we're in.
God.
And I'm
Truly.
God, please go register to vote, vote.gov, check your registration.
Yes.
And
if you live abroad, you can go to.
I don't know the date offhand, so I'm going to have to find it to shout it out next episode. But if you are 17, but you're turning 18 before a certain date, you can register early.
Yes.
So do that.
I did that.
And also, if you're 17 and listening to this podcast,
thoughts and prayers.
Exactly.
We love you so much. If you are living abroad, you can also sign up. It's so easy to do. I did mine through Democrats Abroad, and there's so many. It's so easy, and they have links that'll take you to your home state so that you'll get sent your ballot, and
Yeah.
So.
Yay.
Well, if you guys have a terrible date story, if you want advice for some relationship stuff you're going through now, if you want to reach out and just say hello, go to our one-stop shop of a website. It's myworstatepodcast.com, and we love you so much.
Cheers.